give you my. Yes.
So should I leave this on, this headset?
The
do I do,
headset,
Jay?
let's see, what does that go to?
Leave it on. It's okay.
Leave the headset on, take
Yeah,
this,
and then just
okay?
take this.
All right, I'll just
And
put this.
turn that off for now.
Oh. Oh wait, I just heard something in my ear.
You did?
Yeah, I hear something now. I didn't hear it before.
Oh, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know what happened, but I didn't even do anything.
Maybe I needed your sounds.
Ew, that's static.
Yeah, it's static. Now I don't hear it. Can you still hear me, Jay?
Hello?
Hello, hello?
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 Hello, Leah, can you hear me?
Oh, I
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Here?
good. So, we're ready to go, but I don't know if you got levels. Sharon,
Hello,
talk to the
hello?
microphone.
Yep.
Sharon?
Hello, hello? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Okay,
Yes.
and Lisa?
Hi, can you hear me, Leah?
Yes.
Okay. And me, I'm not on the microphone yet.
No.
I'm gonna go there now.
Okay.
Leah,
Yes.
did anybody call from the neighbor islands? We're expecting the 3 neighbor island people to call in.
Well, there's Doug McLeod.
Oh.
He's on line 1.
Oh, good.
There's
many are on the
Tom.
phone?
I think he said he'll be calling in about a couple minutes.
Tom?
Uh,
Ben? From Kauai, Ben Sullivan, and the third person is Will Ralston, who's calling from the airport.
Okay. I don't know if it was another caller. I just can't recall his
No,
name right
okay.
now. I didn't. Yeah.
So there are 3 callers, one from each of the neighbor islands, and
Okay.
we're expecting them after Lisa gives us the first segment on energy efficiency. We're going to go to the 3 callers and have a discussion. So we want to stream them all in at the same time to talk about
Okay.
what's happening on the neighbor islands. So it'd be Ben Sullivan, you have Doug, and the
Yeah.
third person is Will Ralston.
Okay. I just have Doug on the line for now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Give me the 3 names again.
Ben, Doug is on the line now. Doug
Ben.
and Ben Sullivan, Kauai. Doug McLeod is on now from Maui, and Will Ralston from Big Island. Oops, sorry. Keep on tapping.
McLeod.
McLeod.
Okay, and the title of the show is Update on.
Neighbor Island Energy.
Okay.
Hopefully, from all
Okay.
neighbors.
In the first part, we're going to talk with Lisa. And the second part,
If Doug is there and nobody else is, then we can talk about Maui and what's happening.
okay.
And then-
We go through the 3 of them.
Yeah, but then if the other 2 don't call, but if they do, then we'll go through all 3, and then we'll have a discussion of what that
We'll
means
leave
for
them
the
all
state.
on the phone the whole
Yeah,
hour.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That'll be really good.
And we really, the search is what's going on.
On the neighbor islands, but also, and what does that mean for the whole state, so that we have some cross-cutting, some discussion across the counties, lessons learned, what can we do for the state to support good stuff happening on the neighbor islands and continue to grow.
Okay, and the bugaboos,
Yeah, challenges,
are
opportunities, cable.
biofuel,
biofuels,
Cable.
cable,
first wind, I suppose, not first wind, big wind.
big wind. Also, I would say,
Hello, are you there?
how to continue the momentum going forward. What do they need to continue the momentum?
Hello, Leah?
Oh, this is such a...
I don't hear Leah
Hello?
anymore.
Yeah.
Hello,
now-
Leah?
Uh-oh. Well, be careful.
Maybe we have to go wireless.
Yeah, wireless would be good. That's the next step.
Uh-oh. Cut out.
Every week
was
it's
classic,
every
yeah.
week.
Are you here every week with them? Oh, this
Well, we're
is so
trying to,
exciting.
yeah, as we set this up, each week it's something.
Another crisis.
Go, it's 4 o'clock. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Not the whole thing.
yeah. At least the studio is nice. Before it was small, you know, you're like falling
I was
over.
over
Alsys will treat your pain or will give you your money back. To find out how you can
And a nice green background. too.
Leah, are you there?
Yes, we have about 15 seconds left on this commercial, then I'll play the opening.
Okay.
It's 15 seconds.
And I'll be praying hard for the victor.
0.
Oh, yes, and Will Ralston is
Oh,
online too.
yay. Hi, Will. No, he can't hear you. That's 2 out of the 3. That's good.
Welcome to Think Tech Wednesday on the Think Tech radio series on AM 760 KGU, broadcasting across the islands and raising public awareness in Hawaii. Now here's your host, Jay Vidal.
Well, here we are in the magic of live radio, broadcasting from Suite 30 in Pioneer Plaza, 900 4th Street Mall. Don't you love live radio,
Love
Sharon
it.
Moriwaki?
Just
Wow,
love it.
fabulous.
I love it. The challenges.
It challenges the excitement, the drill, the spills. Anyway, we're back. It's Wednesday. It's Energy Wednesday. And as you know, Energy Wednesday, the official title is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. That's our title. And our, what do you call it, our progenitors, our organizers for this program are DBED, HECO, that is Hawaiian Electric, and Hawaii Energy. We have somebody from Hawaiian Energy right here, right now. We have Lisa Herman right here. Lisa, say hello to the people.
Hi, Jay. I'm Lisa Harmon, and I'm a business program specialist at Hawaii Energy.
So tell us why you're here. How did you get into the studio, actually?
Actually, well, down the steps through the front door. Well, Jay, let me tell you about Hawaii Energy. We are the ratepayer-funded conservation and efficiency program for Hawaii, Honolulu, and Maui counties. So we strive to help residents and businesses save money on their electricity. To help them do that, we offer rebates and financial incentives to install energy-saving equipment.
Yes, okay. If anybody's listened to this show just once, they know all of that.
They do.
Be nothing
Okay.
new. So,
Okay.
what's new today?
What's new? Well, have you ever heard of the window film energy
We
conservation?
had a
Oh,
show
we
about it
did.
last
We
week.
did.
It was fabulous.
Oh.
That's
Okay,
new. Great.
A guy named Tommy Silva in TNT Tinting.
Yes, they
Can you
tint
say
a
that
lot of
fast
windows.
5 times? Never mind.
Tell us
So
more.
he
I'm
talked
really
about
interested.
film.
That's what's
You can
good.
talk about
Yeah.
film.
Yes. Well, we give a rebate for that, an incentive, a commercial incentive for putting window film on the windows. And what it does, it helps to reduce the cooling costs in your building by reflecting off the radiant heat. So that therefore lowers the air conditioning load and saves you money. Now, Hawaii Energy's incentive on that is $1 per square foot, which is a generous incentive. But I do want to note, Jay, that we don't pay for north-facing windows.
Why?
We don't pay for what?
North-facing.
North-facing
Why?
windows.
Why is that?
Well, all the heat and the sunlight gain is on either the south, west, or east facing.
So you're
windows,
not incentivizing people to
don't
put the film on the
incentivize
north
north.
face.
Well, they get other benefits besides, it helps with the
Ah.
comfort and then the glare, things like that. But
So
as
would
far
it
as
work if you
energy and
just
efficiency,
left the you just left the north open and you just
still
did the
works,
others? It
still works. Those are the biggest.
Okay.
The other three are the largest facing windows that you can reduce the cooling
Well,
load from.
They got this new window film. It's fairly expensive. We had it on the show last Wednesday, and Tommy Silva brought down a lady's
I remember
hair
that.
dryer. It was
Yeah.
fabulous, and we were here with Howard Rigg.
I heard that.
And the three of us were making so much fun with the hair dryer, but it was amazing because it cut the temperature down like 50 degrees.
Yeah.
This film, this is high tech. It was a scoop because they're just bringing it in now with TNT Tinting and others. So I guess my question for you, and you said it's not cheap. This isn't cheap. So what do you get, $1 a foot?
$1 per square foot, because we would love to see.
This is not going to go very far, sorry.
No, it
But
certainly
so
does.
how much is it, without the rebate?
Without the rebate. That's a better question answered by Tommy of TNT,
Oh,
I think.
okay.
Yeah, actually, he doesn't know the
He
price
doesn't
yet.
He doesn't know even, oh, well,
No,
there you
because
go.
it has to be priced out.
It's a
But he
brand
said,
new
you know, this is
product.
not going to be cheap. On the other hand, the benefits are huge.
Exactly.
I mean, the best energy is the energy you never use.
Exactly.
And this is no moving parts. It lasts essentially forever. Easy to install, high tech. If you like high tech, you know you like
That's
high
good.
tech.
Oh, yeah, we all
If you like high tech, this
Hmm.
is the best thing. So, are you talking about Tommy Silva's thing, Lisa? Or are you talking about window film in general?
Window film in general, we will incentivize
Hmm.
any vendor, and commercial property can come to us applying for this incentive. We do have a couple requirements. The solar heat gain, which means how much radiant heat it's going to reflect, has to be 0.35, and it sounds like Tommy's was more than adequate for that. So we do have some technical requirements in order to gain the most benefit.
Okay, so I get it in my mind, which actually is already in my mind, to the extent that it can be in my mind, that I want to get this film for my window. And I call Tommy or whoever doing this, and I tell him, I want to install this, and I want Lisa Harmon on board. I want
Okay.
some big bucks from Lisa. So how do I do that? How do I get the state incentive now?
Well, I encourage everyone, first of all, look at our website, hawaiienergy.com. They can research the window film incentive there, as well as all the other great incentives that we offer. They can call our general line at 839-8880.
What would you say?
The general line,
What's the number?
839-8880.
83988. I'm just writing it down for the call I'm going to make.
8880.
839-888. This is the money number.
That's the money number, and they call, and either myself or another program specialist can help them. We would need an application from the HECO account holder at the property to process the incentive payment, and then we'll take it from there.
How long does it take?
Once the window film is installed, so that's up to the contractor and
This
the
is after the
customer.
fact, there's a reimbursement.
Exactly, but we like to know about this before. We love to have pre-approval on the projects. We like to know what's happening out there.
But you
so
don't
we can
require
help.
it, though.
On the customized projects, we do, but we do-
Pre-approval.
Exactly.
I can't come to you afterward and say, you know, it just dawned on me that I'm entitled.
Well, it helps both of us out if you come before, Jay, because that way we might find other energy-saving incentives for you that you can apply for.
Well,
So
you
it
do
is-
every
Why
week,
wait-
Lisa.
Why wait till after the fact?
It's an incentive. It's supposed to bring you in.
Oh, okay. If I'm already in, no need to incentivize me.
Then you won't get the
Love
credit
that.
at all.
Well, you know, I mean, I got to say, you guys are very creative. I mean, you know, it's like, it's a wonderful thing in a, may I say, government agency, for having people sit around all day and say, how can we give away something to the public today? I know you guys have these brain sessions where you try to figure that out. That's a
Of course.
wonderful thing. I wish everybody thought like that.
We're
right.
here to help, we're here to assist with people's energy-saving dreams to make them a reality.
Now, is that open to everybody? You said commercial, but that's open to, say, condo owners or individual residences?
It's not
or-
a residential measure
Okay.
at this point, it's a commercial measure,
Ah.
meaning you have to have a commercial meter, like an office building or a condo, because that's most likely.
large
They have
scale.
a large
Mhm.
scale
But not an
property.
individual house?
Not in residential application at this point, right?
Okay, all right. How are you doing on this? I mean, is it started already, or is it something you're about to do?
Window film, no, we've had that as one of our business incentives for the last program year, and I anticipate it will be available for next year as well.
Okay.
Have there been people using it already? Or
Oh,
is
yes,
this-
we've had a lot of large properties put it on,
Very
and
good.
they have reaped the benefits.
How much money have you paid out so far, Lisa?
Gosh, on window film, I don't have an exact number for that.
How about an inexact?
I don't have an exact number.
A guesstimate.
Okay.
$1 a square foot, that's a lot of square feet.
All right.
That's a lot of square feet.
So you're gonna come back next week?
I'll come back next week, you bet.
Good.
Tell me what else you want to talk about.
I don't know. What do you think you might talk about, just so we can whet their appetites?
You know what? If a caller wants to call in, I can offer them a free conserve power switch as a gift. It's a Belkin power switch. You
those are
plug
good.
it in to the plug, and it has a switch on it, so you could leave your your cell phone charger plugged in, but when it's not charging your phone, you turn the switch off so it doesn't waste power, waste energy. from a vampire load.
Okay, they can call in anytime during this show, right?
Sure, sure. You take their name and contact information and
Oh,
get
that's
that to us, and
So
we'll be
Sharon, will
happy to
you
contact
do
you.
So
that?
we have to remember to do that.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me give them the number now, okay?
Okay.
So if they want the bell, I have one, so I can vouch for it. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
296-5467. What was that, Sharon?
296-5467.
I knew you'd say that. Anyway, okay, Lisa, thank you very much for all that you do, and thank you for this gift, and thank you for a whole, it's like, camels bearing gifts, every week something new. Christmas all year round at Hawaii Energy.
Right, that's right. So again, listeners, please visit us, hawaiienergy.com.
Great.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Whatever
Thank
you said, we're going to take a break now.
Thank
That's
you,
Lisa Herman
Lisa.
from Hawaii Energy. Sharon and I will stay around, and we'll be back after this break to talk with our update on Neighbor Island clean energy. Okay? This is
Great.
Think Tech.
Thank
Stay
you.
there.
Thank you, Lisa.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
No accidents or stalls on any of our major roads right now. The last accident was on the H1N.
Great, yeah, take
Okay, Ben Sullivan is on line 3.
Okay, anybody
Thank
else?
you.
All 3 lines are filled up. I think that should be enough.
Okay, maybe they're asking for those Belkin switches. I'm only kidding.
What?
No, Lisa was giving them away during the first segment.
Did anybody call?
Okay, but you have all 3, so we'll
Yes.
just.
Oh, great.
Okay. And we'll go to Ben first, or you want to take them all on the line at the same time?
Let's
Sharon?
introduce them all, and then we can go
Okay,
back.
so we'll take them all at the same time. Can you do that, Leah?
Sure.
Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye, Jay. Bye, Sharon.
Bye-bye. At least introduce them all, and then
Yeah,
we
okay.
can then take them one by one.
Okay,
Make it more interesting.
okay.
Great. That was a close call. Close call.
Leah? Leah,
Yeah. Yes, sir.
have you got decent sound from us?
Hello,
It's a
hello.
little soft.
But you can boost it because it's all soft, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to adjust that, but I don't know how.
Okay. That's okay. I don't want to lose the connection again, so yeah.
We'll keep our hands
Yeah.
off the gear, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so which one is first?
Doesn't matter. I think
Okay.
Doug was connected first, so you might want to
Okay.
go with him.
Okay, he's first, and then.
Hawaii, the
Ben is
state of clean
second.
energy, is
Yeah,
also
Will-
brought to
Will
you by
Ross-
Hawaiian
Will
Electric
actually-
Company,
actually
powering
should
the
be Will,
growth
'cause
and
he's gonna
development
catch
of Hawaii since it was chartered by King Kalakaua in 1891.
Oh, it's
Today,
still-
Hawaiian Electric and its subsidiaries, Maui
Will
Electric
second.
and Hawaii Electric Light
saving the
Company,
big
serve
guns
more
for
than
first.
95% of our state, providing reliable electric service essential to our
You gonna have time
quality
for
of life.
coffee after
The
this?
Hawaiian Electric companies are also leading our transition to clean energy by increasing our renewable energy use and improving energy efficiency. We're reducing Hawaii's dependence on imported oil and in providing a more sustainable and secure future for Hawaii. For more information, visit hawaiisenergyfuture.com. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, is also brought to you by the State Energy Office of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. How can we secure a better future for Hawaii? One way is clean energy, and the State Energy Office is steering Hawaii to that clean energy future. Hawaii is rich with natural renewable resources, the sun, the wind, the ocean, and the land, and they are all being tapped to meet Hawaii's clean energy initiatives to generate electricity, create jobs, spur economic growth, and reduce our dependence on imported foreign oil. To learn more, visit energy.hawaii.gov.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
Thank you, Jack Waters. We're back. We're live. We're here with Sharon Moriwaki, the co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, one of my favorite organizations. And Sharon is a fabulous co-chair. Fabulous. I'm
I
telling you.
enjoy being here, Jay.
Yeah, such energy for energy. Energy for energy. So, Sharon, you know, you've kind of set the show up with some amazing guests today. We're going to talk about update on the Neighbor Island clean energy, and we have we think we have the three
We-
guys
we-
who know
we
most
are.
about that. So let's introduce them. We have, for example, Ben Sullivan from Kauai.
Hi,
Ben?
Ben.
Thank you
Hi,
very
Ben
much for
Sullivan.
being with us today,
Ben, I'm glad you're here.
Thank you for inviting us onto the show.
We have Doug McLeod from Maui. Hi, Doug. How are you?
Aloha, guys. How are you today?
Great to have you on the show. And we have Will Ralston from the Big Island, commonly known as the island of Hawaii.
Aloha, Jay. Aloha, Sharon.
Hi, Will.
Great to have you here. You and your echo both.
Will's here in Honolulu, but not here in our studio, on his way back to the Big Island. So we really appreciate your stopping in, Will.
Well,
Anyway.
I thank the Department of Transportation for providing a conference room for me.
Great.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you're at the airport now?
At the airport.
I am at the executive offices where lots of plans are being hatched for beautiful renewable airports.
Oh,
Okay,
super.
we want that. That'll be another show for
That'll
sure.
be great.
Anyway, so I guess, my feeling is we probably want to go east to west,
Okay.
right? And Will, if you don't mind, can we start with you on the Big Island, otherwise commonly referred to as Hawaii Island? I think that's politically
Hawaii
correct.
County.
Hawaii,
county
Hawaii
of
Island, Hawaii
Hawaii.
County. And,
Yeah, we call it the County of Hawaii. It's also the Island of Hawaii, and lots of people have other names like the Big Island, so
Yeah.
we use them all.
Well, are you using the term the Big Island less these days? Because if so, I'd like to know on what basis. Could it be that the Big Island isn't so big anymore? That it is
Well, the
perhaps.
Big Island's actually adding land every second or every nanosecond with the most continuous voluminous eruption in recorded history from Kilauea. So we are growing as we speak.
Yeah, well, okay. Maybe the real estate community can make something of that. Anyway, tell us what's going on in clean energy in the Big Island, because we want to sort of compare notes with you and Ben Sullivan and Doug McLeod.
Yes, and I want to thank Sharon for her tenacity in getting the energy counties together. She doesn't give up. Wherever we are, she wants us to call in from Tibet or wherever. So, Sharon, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, I'm really pleased that we could get all of you and that we continue to hear from all of you, because you are the ones who are leading the state, so we must hear from you. Thank you.
So, and Doug will attest to this as well as Ben. We do feel like counties are where the rubber meets the road. We hear from the public. We're under the spotlight a lot of times, and so we try to look like we're doing a lot of things, and we actually try to accomplish a lot. For instance, our focus is always energy efficiency first, like Hawaii Energy was saying. The best use of doing a project is a negawatt. The energy that you don't use. So we're really interested in the cost effectiveness of energy. Lowering energy rates on our island is our biggest focus, and has been for the recent years when energy prices are really rising. The next thing we try to do is on-site renewables, consume the renewable energy like photovoltaics where we need it, like our new West Hawaii Civic Center building that has a 250 kilowatt PV array connected to a 100 kilowatt lithium ion battery and 6 plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So we try to not only use the energy there, but use it for the two areas that need most attention, which is electricity and transportation.
That's great.
Yeah, and we try to transition from on-site renewables to transportation initiatives, which may include things like the great project by Big Island Biodiesel that can provide diesel energy using recycled renewable vegetable oils and things like that. So that's another great initiative that is on our island, capable of doing about 50% of the transportation needs for our island in diesel. We're also looking at utility grid initiatives through the docket process, which you guys are all familiar about, because I believe Sharon's a lawyer. I think, Jay, you have...
The secret is out, Sharon.
Yeah, so you know how important the dockets are. So we spend a good portion of our time in those things, and they're important. We also try to do things like energy demonstration, lead the way in certain technologies, like we are doing hydrogen buses in Volcanoes National Park. So what a great experience for a visitor to come see an active volcano and actually ride around in a hydrogen bus the hydrogen was reformed from the actual magma on the island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it'll be quite an experience. We'll also have a bus in Hilo that'll take the local population around. Then energy education, which the Policy Forum does so well, and I didn't realize it until probably this year how important energy education is. And it's really fundamental. It's probably the first step, and I've always put it as the last, but I'm trying to move that up. The projects we've done to date include, like I've discussed, the West Hawaii Civic Center, which has the large PV array, 250 kW, with the battery, 100 kW, the 6 plug-in hybrid vehicles. And then we also are moving into a wind farm project at the Department of Water Supply. So we're awarding that to a bidder. We went down to final 3, where we have our final 1. So there you'll have wind turning to pump water like the old Lalamila wind farm was designed. I think it was the first distributed generation wind farm in Hawaii. So we're repowering that with the Department of Water Supply to save consumers money. Every cent we can save off a kilowatt hour in the water department has to get passed on to the consumer. So we're a natural place to really work on our energy and our energy efficiency in the DWS, because it has to go to the consumer. We have partnerships with the utility. Hawaiian Electric Light Company was kind enough to work with us to give us 2 batteries. One went to the West Hawaii Civic Center, one went to Koyo Water Bottling Plant, where it saves them tens of thousands of dollars a month, I heard. We're also developing the Kona to Hilo transportation hubs, just like an airport would have a hub. We have a big island, so we're working on getting our fleet more efficient. Those are the natural hubs 100 miles apart where we drive our plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So we think they set up natural hubs for us to start making our fleet more efficient, because we spend $7 million on fuel a year, and that's a lot of money. So we want to reduce the burden for the taxpayer. As I mentioned, we're in every PUC docket that we feel is important, and we're developing tools that will allow us to do things in the future, like power purchase agreements, that we work with neighbor islands to either use things that they've already developed, like RFPs. County of Kauai has worked with us on electric vehicle RFPs. We've worked with County of Maui on sharing our RFP and PPA. So there's a really good relationship, and Doug and Ben and Cal and Glenn Sato, they're very nice, but they're also competitive, so it's a really good system. We learn from each other, but we want to outdo each other at the same time. So we're in lots of dockets, which consume 50% of my time. The mayor has stated that we want to be 50% renewable by 2015. We have that energy portfolio that we're working on.
You're close to that now, aren't you?
We're 41%, and we're actually 49 under the current renewable portfolio standards. So I think we are going to meet it. The renewable portfolio standards change in the next year, so we're going to probably go back to 40 plus, but we'll get there. I'm confident we'll get there.
A couple of questions for you, Will.
Go ahead.
First a comment, and that it strikes me, and Sharon will know a lot more about this, but it strikes me that the whole thing about the neighbor islands having commissioners and coordinators and people at the county level whose responsibility it is to advance clean energy, that's relatively new. And you guys are doing a great job. You're raising public awareness, and you're raising the bar in terms of what is happening on the neighbor islands. And what you're doing probably would not happen if you were not there. So it's a really good development. Am I right about all that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, you're right, and you got to thank the people who have been there the longest, like the Glenn Satos and the Cal Kobayashis, that told me how important the dockets are, and I said no, they're not worth my time, and they said no, you're wrong, and so I got in the dockets and I found out how hard they were and how much effort they took, and I said I don't want to do this, and they said no, you have to. And they were right. So, the guys who are there for the civil defense emergency, Hurricane and Nikki, like Glenn, can share their experiences with younger folks. And we learn from these guys who have been there, been in the trenches. So thanks to them.
What Will is talking about is the Public Utilities Commission. We usually think of legislation or we look at the county ordinances, but a lot of what goes on and the policies that are developed really is with the Public Utilities Commission. So Will is absolutely right to kind of monitor that and be on top of that.
And be heard about it.
And be heard, yes.
Otherwise they won't know what, for example, the constituency on the Big Island is thinking. But in terms of that, though, I wonder what the tone is like. I mean, for example, on Maui, and we'll talk more with Doug about this, on Maui, there's a special feeling about wind. What is the special feeling about wind on the Big Island? Do people like it? Do they have great expectations for it? Do they oppose it for any reason? Where is the Big Island on wind in general?
Well, we have 3 world-class wind sites. So there's the south, the north, and the middle where Lalamilu is that we're currently developing with the Department of Water Supply. They're world-class sites. I believe they're called Class 7, which means they have capacity factors of 60%. So if you compare that to a fossil diesel generator, that's a capacity factor of 100%. So these are below 60% of the time is unheard of in most parts of the world. So as far as a wind resource, we're off the charts. But as far as people liking the wind on our island, because we're the Big Island, our wind farms are really far away and not as visible as maybe some wind farms. So I think there's really good feelings about wind and what we can do with it, especially when it comes to matching wind with storage. And we've done that at the Hawi wind farm, which is a north wind farm.
Well, that's been around for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, that one's been around, I don't know how long, maybe, I'm going to guess. I don't like to guess, but 10 years.
Yeah, possibly a little longer. What about the biofuel at AKP in, Pahala and Ka'u there? That is not popular, or at least
I'm under a protected agreement with the utility and AKP, and there's really little I can talk about other than I am in that docket. I do represent the County of Hawaii, and that docket is still very active, and so if you want to go to the website, it's dms.puchawaii.gov, and you'll see all the comments that are being put forth by the different parties.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, and certainly we wouldn't push you to talk about it, but we can ask Doug and Will, and Ben to talk about it right after the break. We're going to take a little break now. This is Think Tech. It's Energy Wednesday. We're talking about an update on Neighbor Island clean energy. We'll be right back after this break. Right, Sharon?
Great.
I knew you'd say that.
Looking forward to it.
Stay there.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
No problems going east to Hawaii Kai or over to the windward side on the Pali, the Like, or the H3. If you're going west, the Moanalua slows right after you go under Middle Street. The H1 slows about halfway down the airport viaduct. It's slow from those points to the Halava merge. It is moving better now on the H1 Evabound through Aiea and Pearl City. Accidents right now in Kaimuki, Harding at 12th, and North Nimitz at Waiakimilo.
And then try to segue into Doug, and then into Ben, and then have a discussion, maybe the last segment.
Okay.
Is it coming on? You might want to remind people to call in if they have questions.
With the Kahiava Wind Farm on Maui and the Kahuku and Kawailoa Wind Farms on Oahu, First Wind is pleased to create clean, local sources of energy powered by Hawaii's trade winds. Understanding our unique environment and host culture, First Wind develops projects that support local communities and provide net benefits to native wildlife, embracing the concept of caring from Mauka to Makai. Ukamakani, may the wind blow towards a sustainable future for Hawaii's people. For more information, visit firstwind.com.
Think Tech Energy Wednesday is also brought to you by Hawaii Energy. Hawaii Energy is a ratepayer-funded conservation and efficiency program administered by SAIC under contract with the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission, serving the islands of Hawaii, Lanai, Maui, Molokai, and Oahu.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
Thank you, Jack Waters. We're here. We're back. We're live. We're Think Tech. We're Energy. This is Energy Wednesday. We're talking about update on Neighbor Island Energy. We're so happy to be here, right, Sharon Moriwaki?
We're in good shape here with our Neighbor Island Energy coordinators. Very pleased with that.
Okay, well, so two things. One is if you want to ask a question to our Neighbor Island coordinators and commissioners, you can do that. You can call 296-5467. It's not even a long distance call. How about that? And
and you'll get that prize.
And you can call
Hawaii
and get
Energy.
that prize. That would be something. That's the prize that Lisa Harmon from Hawaii Energy mentioned when she was on earlier, because we always have our nanowatt moment, negawatt moment.
Negawatt moment.
All the same. Okay. Anyway, we got into a discussion with Will Ralston in the last segment of the show about the Big Island, more commonly referred to these days as Hawaii Island.
County of Hawaii.
County of Kauai. I'm sorry.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. And now we're going to move to Maui because we're traveling in a westerly direction. Hi, Doug McLeod. Can you give us a handle on what's going on in Maui and clean energy?
Uh-oh. What was that?
That's the sound. That's the sound of a
Disconnect.
dial tone. Is Doug on the phone?
Doug.
Well, let's skip to Ben Sullivan of Kauai then.
Hello.
Hey, Ben.
You can speak
How
for
are you guys?
Kauai and Maui, Ben.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Doug, but I have to ask you a question. Was that Will Ralston or Will Robinson that was on the phone just recently?
Ralston.
I was sure I was listening to an episode in Lost in Space with the echo, but
Glad to have you on, Ben. Glad we're connected.
yeah. Hey, thank you for the opportunity. So, what can we tell you about that's happening on the island of Kauai? I know, Jay, we've talked a lot about things happening over here.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kauai is unique. It always was. Even at the time of the great unification of the islands, it was unique. And I don't think really, I don't think anything has changed actually in Kauai. And you guys, you're sui generis. You know what I mean by that? It's a legal term. It means you're in your own category. And you have your own co-op over there. It's different, and in a funny way, it's got a lot of connection with the public, because it has voting arrangements by the people, by the ratepayers, and this gives it a different flavor in Kauai, and so all the things you do have a different flavor around them, and certainly you want to learn from the other islands, but really the other islands can learn from you in many ways. So tell us.
Okay, they're all back.
Oh, good, thanks. So tell us, Ben Sullivan, what's going on in Kauai? Give us a handle on how it is different over there.
Well, Jay, I think you hit on the biggest distinction for Kauai, which is we are the one major island that is not part of the HEI, the Hawaii Energy family of companies. And so we have a cooperative, which is a community-owned cooperative over here, and that cooperative is governed by a 9-member board of directors that is elected by the community. So it's really a great arrangement. We have a utility company that's here exclusively and only to serve the community and the needs of the community. So it's really an incredible structure, something that was set up with a lot of hard work of a lot of the people in the community here on Kauai, and it took years to really.
Private. It was private before. It was a private utility. Right?
It was owned by Citizens Utilities. Citizens Utilities out of Connecticut owned it for quite a long time after it transitioned from the plantations, and I think in 2003 is when the transition to a cooperative finally actually took place officially, and there was some legislation involved there, and just a whole lot of legwork on the part of a lot of really thoughtful and forward-thinking people from Kauai. So really we're blessed with that structure, and I had the privilege of serving on their board for a term actually before I took this position with the county, and it was amazing for me to learn, what is it about a cooperative, how does it work, and how do people get a voice, and it's just a giant opportunity for us as we kind of cut the path into a clean energy future.
You know what, Ben? I mean, really, I think you're in a perfect place. You must be a happy person, because you've been involved in the process even before the time you were on the board. You're an architect, as I remember.
Apollo Alliance, weren't you?
And you had a lot to say about how energy worked in Kauai. Then you got on the board, you had more to say. And then, wonders of wonderments, you got to be the commissioner and had even more to say in an environment that is actually very democratic. If you have a beef about energy in Kauai, you can vote your representative out. You have some real leverage in that way, and it changes the routine. It changes everything, and therefore Kauai can make these really what do you want to call it, neighborly neighbor island decisions, isn't it?
Absolutely, and in fact, KIUC is really what you got to talk about when you talk about clean energy on Kauai. The county is doing some great things for sure, and we're setting some ambitious goals to reduce our energy consumption. And I give all the credit to Mayor Carvalho and his 2020 Holo 2020 initiative. But when you look at the big picture in terms of energy progress on the island, it's all about KIUC. And so our role is really how do we work in cooperation with them? How do we collaborate, and how do we make sure that we're doing what's best for the community? And I think that's happening right now. There's an amazing amount of PV going on the grid. Ground is being broken on a significantly sized biomass project right now. There's some investigations into the potential for hydro projects that I think are being done really sensitively and with all the other community interests in mind. So progress is great. We're looking at achieving an ambitious goal of 50% renewable energy by 2023, and it looks like we'll be ahead of that. So that's really positive. And again, all the credit goes to the hardworking people over at the cooperative, in my view.
Yeah, but your rates are high.
We do pay a lot for electricity, and I think Jay, you and I have talked about that before. Really, that is an opportunity, and my position is out of the Office of Economic Development here on the island of Kauai, and so really, you can look at it on the one hand and say, geez, my bill is so high, what am I going to do? But on the other hand, it really offers us an opportunity to explore what's possible in terms of reducing and eliminating our dependence on petroleum. And so, we pay the most, but we also have the most to gain in seeking the best solutions.
Well, in a funny way, Kauai is also adventurous, because you guys, you're fast and light. You can move, relatively quickly. I mean, I know you have to abide by the state process and the PUC and all that, but you can, in terms of developing state, county-wide policy, you can move pretty quick. And I'm just wondering, will there come a point where you do some really adventurous things, like, for example, ocean energy, wave energy, OTEC? I have a thing about OTEC, and who knows what else? Other adventurous moves. Is that in the cards for Kauai?
It comes down to what the community wants to do, so I wouldn't speculate, but I would say this. From an R&D standpoint, we're real small, so things like OTEC, in my view, require some really deep pockets, and so I don't know if that's really the place for it, but from a policy standpoint, if there's policies that would otherwise be really difficult to implement in, say, an investor-owned environment, such as like time of use rates or things like that, that's where, we have an opportunity to really explore things, because ultimately, regardless of what happens in terms of how rates are collected, it all goes back to the community. So we can look at things, I think, a little more broadly when we talk about how to manage energy issues in the community.
Yeah. What about wind? I mean, do you feel the same way that the Big Island feels about wind, or are you putting PV first?
You know, wind is a completely different issue here on Kauai, and it interestingly focuses around primarily around the fact that there's no mongoose here on Kauai, which, with the manifestation of there being no mongoose, is fortunately that there's a really healthy population of endangered seabirds, which are very, very rare throughout the other islands, and they're still fairly rare here, but they have the strongest populations in the state. So birds like the newel shearwater are doing relatively speaking very well here on Kauai. So there's some real sensitivities about wind turbines that are not nearly as acute on the other islands. And so we don't have any major wind farms. You don't come to Kauai and see the big wind turbines at this point in time.
Just curious, is there wind on Kauai? I mean, wind that you could harness? I mean, if
the resources
there
here,
weren't these, ecological concerns,
high mountain.
would you be able to build big wind there?
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's one of the dynamics. The other dynamic that I find to be to our great advantage is that, as you guys know, and I think you've probably had shows on it, there's this really enormous, really interesting project proposed for the islands in the interconnection project with the inter-island cable. And because, again, of our remoteness and the depth of the channel between us and Oahu, it's not proposed that Kauai would ever be part of a statewide grid. And so the good and the bad of that, the bad of it is our rates are higher and we don't necessarily get the opportunity to share resources. But the good of it is that we don't have to wait for that planning process in order to determine our own future. And so I personally see that as a blessing as well.
That's true. You don't get involved in the Turkish taffy.
Ben, because you are so small and kind of a closed system, it allows you to be a test bed. And so maybe that's a good thing, too. And if you can talk about some of the projects, for example, the smart grid, I know that was a challenge or is a challenge. Are there things like that or others that, we could test things out because you are a smaller system, see what works, what doesn't work?
Yeah, take 1 minute to discuss it, Ben, because we have to have a break and move on to Doug.
Sure, of course. In 1 minute, I do believe there's a lot of opportunities there. They fall primarily in terms of responsibility to the co-op and not to the county. But in fact, they have deployed a smart grid network island-wide with advanced metering infrastructure going in for all customers. So everybody that wants one has a smart meter, and we have the ability to communicate in two ways. And there's just tremendous opportunities that are in front of us because of that groundwork is done and the infrastructure is in place. So it's very, very exciting. I mentioned time of use rates earlier, and I think that's personally, I think that's a real big opportunity, and it's not an easy one from a policy standpoint or a rate-making standpoint, but it's one that we have the potential to explore and perhaps explore first ahead of the rest of the state.
And he did it in 1 minute. Nice work, Ben.
Yeah. Thanks,
really
Ben.
appreciate that. We're going to take a short break now. We're going to come back and talk to Doug McLeod about what's going on Maui. Stay right there.
760 KGU.
Part of the Wall Street Business Network.
New accidents right now in Waikiki on Kuhio at Liliuokalani Avenue, Hawaii Kai Drive and Pape'ekeo Street, and went out west too, to Lailua Boulevard and Kapolei Parkway. If you're going west, the H1 is stop and go on the west half of the airport viaduct. The Moanalua slows right after Middle Street. No problems are reported to the windward side, and no problems reported going out to Hawaii Kai.
Can hardly wait to get to
Doug? Oh.
the restaurant.
Oh, Kincaid's.
Yeah, I can hardly wait.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
So, we're being broadcast right now, if I didn't mention that before. We're live on Ustream, and we're live on something called Spreaker.com. And you can catch those links on our website, thinktechhawaii.com. You can include them on HEPF too.
Okay.
Where you
Give
can,
the citation or the link.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
give that to me.
Yeah, so we're expanding our base that way so that more people in more situations Think Tech Radio is also brought to you by InmoB. Since its inception in 2007, InmoB has grown to become the world's largest independent mobile advertising network, serving over 100 billion mobile ads to date. It has built its product in parts of the world where the mobile phone is not just a screen, it's the only screen. After launching in the U.S. and Europe in 2010, InmoB has more than doubled its global network from 7 billion to 60 billion impressions monthly, and has offices on 4 continents, in Bangalore, Johannesburg, and London, in Nairobi, New York, and Paris, in San Francisco, Seoul, Singapore, and Tokyo. InmoB. Think Tech Hawaii is a Hawaii nonprofit corporation organized in the year 2000. Its purpose is to raise public awareness about the importance of technology, energy, agriculture, and globalism to the diversification and expansion of our economy. We do this by television shows on community television and on OC16, by newspaper articles, and by our Think Tech radio series on KGU 760 AM. We also do it by panel programs and events, including our monthly luncheon programs with the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. Think Tech, working to raise public awareness in Hawaii. Check us out at thinktechhawaii.com.
Now back to Think Tech Wednesday on AM 760 KGU. Here once again is your host, Jay Fidel.
And I'm here with Sharon Moriwaki, the co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, our great leader in clean energy in the state. And we're back with Ben Sullivan, Doug McLeod, and Will Ralston, who are the commissioner-coordinator people from the neighbor islands, doing a lot to push clean energy ahead in these these times where it is very important to keep pushing. So we have one more island to cover before we can try to have a sort of group discussion about it, and that is the island of Maui with Doug McLeod. We've been referring, Doug, to Smart Grid, and everybody knows that Maui is doing Smart Grid. And my question to you is Maui doing the Smart Grid because the people in Maui are smarter?
You're not doing Smart Grid.
Well, it's funny. I think that we do like the Smart Grid project, and, I work for Mayor Arakawa, and he's very supportive of this because it's an international project, bringing in some Japanese technology. But at the same time, it's wrong to suggest that there's really a plan to, deal with the grid overall on Maui and convert it to any smart technology. This really is still at the stage of, a particular circuit here and there that we're working on, a particular battery system. It's not a true plan at this point to convert everything.
It's a test.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us what the true plans are then.
Well, as you listen to the other counties, I'm really impressed with what they're doing. But I know, working for Mayor Arakawa, one of the important things for me is, our average customer, our average citizen is paying less on their electric bill than these other places. And so it's really important for us looking at a balance between renewable energy and, keeping control of costs. So that's, I think, probably the focus and the area where we have the most friction maybe with the utility at the moment.
Why does Maui pay less? And what is it about Maui that enables your ratepayers to pay less in Maui?
A couple of factors probably play into it. First, in the utility business, sometimes it's not how many customers you serve, it's how spread apart they are. And, the Big Island has this inherent disadvantage when you look at the cost for their transmission and distribution systems. They just literally, have a lot more ground to cover. But another answer, quite frankly, is that Maui Electric is working with some semi-obsolete units. They have some units in Kahului that go back to 1948. Mm-hmm. And, the advantage is they're fully paid off, but, the disadvantage is they probably cost a lot more in fuel. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that is another factor is they have not invested in new equipment, in the recent past, and so we don't have to pay for that. Another factor, though, is just the average amount of electricity used per customer. And when you look at that kind of a metric, it just kind of looks like there's a little bit more industry on Maui, maybe a few more, large electricity users, and that helps too, just because once the average electricity use rises, you can spread the cost a little bit easier.
Yeah, but that all suggests an issue I like to raise, and that is, if you are installing clean energy, there's infrastructure to build because it doesn't exist, and you have to make it exist, and it's new technology, and sometimes it's pretty big. It's enterprise level technology, and so when you put that in, it costs a lot of money. A wind farm costs $100 million anyway, and somebody has to pay the cost of that capital, which means that if you do new things, you're going to have to fold that into the rates, and that makes energy more expensive. So clean energy has a price. If you don't do clean energy, if you don't put that money in the infrastructure, I think you alluded to this. You use the old infrastructure. You're saving money, but you're leaving yourself exposed to the possibility of being more reliant on foreign oil and more subjected to the changes in oil prices. So, that one factor that you mentioned sounds very interesting to me. If Maui decided tomorrow it was going to go great guns and put a lot of clean energy in, then its rates would go up, right?
That's the interesting thing. If you started from scratch today, and you used the kinds of costs that MECO has been signing up for in these PPAs, then you get exactly the answer you suggest, that costs are only headed higher. And so if you want costs to go lower, this is a discussion that we're having, is there a need to change the structure of who's operating the utility assets, or is this just a matter of kind of investing? And one of the things that we're looking at is the county has a substantially better credit quality than utility at this point. And we're trying to ask, is it a matter of a willingness to spend money? On the system on Maui, Sandia Labs did a study that was finished last year. And this one's a public one that's available on the internet. It's easy to remember because the acronym is MESS, Maui Energy Storage Study, the MESS. But anyway, this thing was done late 2012. Right. And I just encourage people to look at it because one of the things that's happening on Maui is that we have all this, what we call the curtailed energy, the wind power that's being wasted.
Yep.
And so even though normally you couldn't go renewable and expect to save money, what we're trying to look at is, could we get the utility to resize their fossil units and as a result be able to use a bunch of curtailed wind? Because even though, like you said, efficiency is actually the cheapest kilowatt hour you'll ever get, but number two is curtailed energy. And so we're really looking at, we have an existing source of cheap renewable energy, and we really feel like if the utility would simply modernize, not change even out of fossil, but go to quick start, go to low load diesels, that these would allow, the fuel use to match and to tie in better with the wind power that's available. So that's kind of the, and you said, that the counties didn't used to have these energy positions, and unfortunately, one of the side effects is like, oh, we do have opinions, and what happens if you really reach this point where, you're just in substantial disagreement with the utility, and that's tricky.
Well, that it is tricky, but at the end of the day, you're going to have opinions anyway, and you might as well have commissioners and coordinators like you guys to express those and represent your constituents and be constituents in the larger process.
And do these studies so that you're basing it on facts and what you're learning. So that if you don't have the position, you can't even start to go in that direction.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, Doug, you talked about the curtailment issue, and we've heard many people talk about that, and it certainly is an issue of the moment. Hopefully, it will be resolved, because if I have $100 million into a wind farm and I'm curtailing, I'm losing my investment. I'm not able to make a return, and then I'm not going to make another investment, and my friends aren't going to make other investments, and you have a dearth of capital. Then is a problem. But I wrote an article which was in yesterday's Star Advertiser about water, and it struck me writing that article that if you do desalination, I know you guys are considering it, and certainly Larry Ellison is considering it. If you do desalination, you don't have to have firm power. You can use curtailed wind and just put the water in a tank somewhere, and so you're actually using all of it. There's no loss whatsoever. Anybody talk about that?
Yes, and I mean a couple variations on that. So one, your point that you could just use it to operate a desal plant, and you mentioned Lanai, and I think it's certainly out there with the public that he is looking at desal options, and that would require without getting into exact numbers. I mean it's megawatts of power to run desal plants. So that's certainly a possibility that's out there, and wind works. But the other thing that's frequently mentioned is that wind still looks to be one of the cheaper ways to run a pumped hydro system.
Yeah. Doug, sorry, we're out of time. Doug, Ben Sullivan, Will Ralston, Sharon Moriwaki, we're out of time, but we got to do this again. This was a wonderful discussion.
Terrific.
Great to have you guys together. This is what it's all about. This is Think Tech Energy Wednesday. Thanks so much. Aloha, you guys. Thank you, Sharon.
Aloha. Aloha.
Who was it? Doug. He was the first one. That's okay. So the whole investment is only an hour. So
But that was good. That they're, I mean, they have a lot to say. So
yeah, they do, and they watch each other and talk to each other. They're a great constituency, I think. And then let me close everything down here.
Wow, that was touch and go. I didn't know whether we'd connect with them because I don't know. I think they tried, and